I'm going to read from my book, South Away, The Pacific Coast on Two Wheels. Dedication from my grandmother, Marie Hackinen, who taught me that adventure roams in foxglove meadows and ferned ravines. Chapter 1, Ladies Bike Club, Terrace, British Columbia. A dozen helmeted, spandex-clad women gather in front of McBike Shop on Lozelle Avenue, road bikes like sleek, ergonomic whippets at their sides. I wheel my steel blue Norco commuter into the jumble of steel and flesh, bike cleats scratching against sidewalk cement as women mix pastel-colored electrolyte tablets into water bottles and complete pre-trip once-overs on their bicycles. It's my first Monday in Terrace, my first outing with Ladies Bike Club. I wonder how I'll learn anyone's name when they look nearly identical. Tanned knees and trim waists cinched into spandex. You here for the ride? I turn to see a woman with shoulder-length blonde hair and sunglasses. A white, pink, and powder blue cycling jersey clings to her torso like a superhero costume. Yes, I'm Meaghan, then add, I just moved here. I'm 24 years old, and I've been in school for 16 of those years. Until now, that is, June 2009. Less than a week earlier, I boxed my bicycle, a recent graduation present from my parents, and ventured by Greyhound from their home in Surrey, a burgeoning sprawl that fills the gap between urban Vancouver and the cornfields of the Fraser Valley, to northern British Columbia for a summer position at the museum and terrace. My official title? Events Coordinator. But as it turns out, I will do everything from interpretive tours to indexing homestead articles in the office basement. The salary isn't generous, but through friends of friends, I found a townhouse sublet with 2 Irish brothers and Margaret, a free-spirited anthropology grad from Little Rock, Arkansas. After my 3-month stint of employment is over, I won't return to Surrey. I'm Shannon, the woman says. Looks like your tire could use some air. I follow her critical glance to my rear bike tire. Why hadn't I noticed that on my own? Until this moment, I'd held my Norco, a second-hand bike that I'd christened Blue Steel after Ben Stiller's infamously ridiculous character in the film Zoolander, in high regard. She had been carefully selected from an array of Craigslist ads based on all-around utility. With medium-width tires and a sturdy frame, Blue Steel could navigate bustling streets, washed-out hiking trails, and anything in between. She was hardy enough to tackle city curbs, yet could be relied on for those lonely stretches of highway I'd hope we explore together. But here, in the gathering of performance bicycles on the pavement in front of McBike, Blue Steel stands out like an awkward dinner guest who didn't get the dress code memo. Her cheap plastic pedals and mountain bike handlebars look clumsy and uncouth next to the skinny tires and titanium seat posts around her. I've been cycling about a year now, I say, eager to wheel the conversation away from my bicycle. Like most people, I'd cycled as a child but had given it up in my early teens. I hit the pavement again a year ago as a way to strengthen my right knee after a snowboarding injury. I'd still undergone surgery, torn ligaments don't mend themselves, but had returned to cycling soon after. Aside from croquet and swimming, cycling was one of the few activities that my physiotherapist had deemed safe. Shannon's eyes zipped from Blue Steel to me. Board shorts, skate shoes, and an oversized t-shirt that I'd scissored the sleeves off to increase airflow. Looking back, I'm now able to see what Shannon and the rest of the women from Bike Club saw. I was green as a paint chip, a total beginner. We ride about 40 kilometers, Shannon says. Think you can handle that? Sure, I pedaled 40 clicks, once, mostly downhill. I'm doing a bike trip in September, I say, the words ballooning up before I can tether their strings. Where are you going? Asks the lean, no-fat-to-spare woman whose physique gives the impression of a well-maintained machine. First, I'll meet my sister at Shawnigan Lake, Vancouver Island. My sister is living there, I explain, in a treehouse at an eco-village. Then we'll head down the Pacific Coast Highway to the Baja Peninsula. I say this casually, as if cycling down half a continent is the most natural thing in the world. But Ladies Bike Club is not fooled. For a moment, there's only the sound of metal on cement, shifting cleats. Which route? Someone asks. I've been poring over maps for weeks, so I know there are a couple ways to reach Shawnigan Lake from Terrace. You could travel east on Highway 16 towards Prince George, then jog south down Highway 97 and the Trans-Canada to board a ferry to Vancouver Island from the Lower Mainland. In contrast, I've decided to ride west along Highway 16 to Prince Rupert and sail the Inside Passage ferry south to Port Hardy on the northern tip of Vancouver Island. I've never traveled this way before, and the route allows for a side trip to Haida Gwaii, if I have time. From Port Hardy, I'll pedal the Inland Island Highway south, first through high timbers and then into agricultural land and the more populous centers of Campbell River, Courtenay, and Duncan. By late September, I'll meet Lisha at Shawnigan Lake, and the two of us will continue south, ferry hop from Victoria across the Strait of Juan de Fuca to Port Angeles, and twist 2,600 kilometers down the Pacific Coast Highway, Highway 101, until we reach the next international border at San Diego. We know little of the road on the Baja side of the line, but we assume there is one, and that's good enough for us. We'll return to Canada for Christmas, or when our money runs out, whichever comes first. And neither of you have cycled long distance before? Shannon asks. Nope. Both Alicia and I have plenty of experience camping, however, going back to those long weekends when our father took us to the wind-tumbled beaches of Vancouver Island. And neither of us minds the hardship of physical endeavor. We both played rugby in high school, spent 10-hour days carving powder at the local ski hills, Grouse, Seymour, and Cypress, during the winter months. Over the course of the summer in Terrace, I hope to increase my stamina and learn basic bicycle maintenance. The bigger issue, I suspect, is going to be scraping together enough money to live off of while Alicia and I are on the road. Shannon shrugs. You better go inside and pump that tire up. 2 by 2, we pedal west on Highway 16, the Yellowhead, past the here and then gone outskirts of Terrace, billboards for motels and pubs peeling sinewy slivers of paint. Shannon, the club leader, calls encouragement as the Skeena River turns brown with spring runoff alongside us. Cadence, people, keep that cadence up, she shouts. Legs should always be spinning. Not 10 minutes from town, we glimpse the vast wilderness that stretches north to Alaska. The 160-kilometer span of Highway 16 between Terrace and Prince Rupert is a well-known scenic drive. Prior to leaving home, I'd looked forward to exploring it. In the first few days I'd been in Terrace, this fascination had already surfaced in my new job at the museum. I was assigned the task of guiding visitors through a series of cabins, each set up to exhibit a certain aspect of early pioneer living. I always became especially animated when we visited the trapper's cabin, barely lit and deliciously cool, where I pointed out beaver, wolf, and bear pelts. No matter how many times I entered the cabin, a stuffed wolverine, perched with its lips peeled back, one clawed paw outstretched atop a chest of drawers, caught me off guard. I yearned to see these creatures in the rugged woods outside Terrace. Now, I am finally out there, tunneling through the endless wild land, but all I catch from the corner of my eye is a shadowed blur, splashes of new growth green. Shannon drifts from the front to the rear of the pack, giving mini lectures on technique and reminding us to check our bike computers and heart rate monitors, neither of which I'm equipped with. I try to match revolutions with the women next to me while simultaneously avoiding the rear tire of the bicycle in front of me. Sensing the potential for a domino-style pileup, I back off, falling to the rear when we begin our first ascent. Soon, my legs are spinning like demon-possessed egg beaters. How much longer until we take a break? This is nothing like my leisurely commute to the SkyTrain for class. Thank you.